Good morning, everybody. I'm Danny Glick with At Properties. I am joined this morning by Carrie McCormick, Maggie Baczkowski, and Phil Skowron, all top agents with At Properties. And we just thought we would take an opportunity today to talk about the overall market, what we're seeing, what we're experiencing, and methods and procedures that we're doing to change our basically our processes to adapt to this new environment. So I want to take a moment and just have everybody introduce yourselves. Let us know how long you've been in the business, what areas you focus on. Carrie.
So I'm Carrie McCormick with At Properties. Thank you, Danny, for coordinating all of this. I've been in the business for over 20 years. It's actually been 21 at this point, which is mind-blowing, but I cover all of Chicago. I've being in the business for so long, I've moved people Dale to, all over the city. So I cover the city and then some of the North Shore and the western suburbs as well.
Great, thank you. Maggie, tell us a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me again. So I've been selling for 13 years. I primarily focus in the River North, Gold Coast, basically Chicagoland area, and try and focus on the higher end market. And recently started selling out in Michigan as well, getting licensed and actually working in Florida too. So we're just trying to be able to adapt and meet the needs of our clients.
Awesome. Phil?
Good morning. So I've been in business about 12 years, 13 years now, and I focus primarily in the downtown market. I specialize in the luxury market. I work all kinds of things from, smaller condos to rentals. Really, the downtown product is my specialty, though.
That's awesome. Awesome. And again, I'm Danny Glick, 20 years in the business with At Properties in East Lincoln Park. And for the most part, north side neighborhoods. So Lincoln Park, Lakeview, Bucktown, Wicker Park. And I have a special niche of new construction. So guys, let me just start off this morning. And you can jump in however you want with the overall climate and what you're seeing in terms of activity level with buyers, with showings. What are each of you seeing?
So I'll start. With buyers are hesitant about going into homes right now, just because of safety and health concerns. So they are worried about going into places that they're just not sure of the climate there. So we're using a lot of virtual tours, floor plans, video walkthroughs to help accommodate those buyers. And sellers feel the same way right now. I think, what's most important to everybody is getting and flattening the curve, as they say, and really doing our due diligence and making sure that we adhere to the rules of that. But it's also important for us to, as real estate agents, to keep the economy going and keep things moving too. So I think we've just learned a whole new skill set in how to sell properties through a lot of virtual and online and communication.
Phil, Margaret, Maggie, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I agree with Carrie. I think the most important thing is, I feel to do my civic duty and do my part to flatten the curve. And so we have a group that we work with, and we closed our office probably a few days before the shelter in place, and really encouraged people to get creative online. So spending more time on how to create videos, how to have content stand out a little bit differently, and take advantage of the fact that I think people are going to be online more. And when giving people tools to be able to, like what Carrie was talking about, get a good read on a property. And I've got clients that are first responders, and they don't want people in their home right now. And anything that I can do to promote safety first and foremost, keep people safe while being able to still be able to service our clients by getting their properties out there. For me, things are on hold as far as people looking at properties, not getting a lot of showings. We are sending brochures and videos to any of the inquiries, but really trying to focus on marketing our property and getting anything that we have out there virtually and accessible to people who are at home.
Right.
Sure. I think that's well said. So obviously, this is a tricky time. No one knows how long this is going to last. And really being honest with clients about our lack of understanding of this is very, obviously the most important thing. We don't know what's going to happen. So we have to come up with a million different scenarios and try to plan for as many of them as we can. And we're not always going to have the answers. Sometimes we have to think on the fly, but we're seasoned professionals. We know what we're doing here. We've been through different types of crashes and down markets, and we've seen a lot of different things. The most important thing clients can do right now is hire one of us as seasoned professionals who have really seen it all. So conversation is really the most important thing. I can't stress that enough. I'm calling all of my clients regularly, trying to figure out what positions that they're in that I can help with. And again, there's no one size fits all answer to that, but just trying to come up with as many game plans as possible is really our strategy right now.
I think we all agree that the market is going, we'll get through this. Like Phil just said, I mean, with all of our experience, we've been through the down markets, and we will get through this. And it's positioning our clients correctly so that when we do come out of it, we're in a good position to get our clients' properties sold and to get our buyers into new homes.
Right, right. I'm curious, are there tools specifically that you guys have, either become aware of or started using? I'll give you an example. Someone turned me on the other day to this app, Hyperlapse, which is an app that essentially allows you to take a video of a home and do a walking tour through a home. But, rather than, 10 minutes, it's condensed into 2 minutes. And so, I found that was a great tool. I don't know if you guys have used Matterport in the past. That's been around for forever. I imagine that some people who haven't used that are now using that. Is there anything specific, any tools that you're using to tackle some of these, getting properties more visible?
So I've just been using the tools I've always used. I've done a lot of online marketing and video marketing in the past.
Right.
So I'm just relying on all the resources that I have been using. But to be honest, I think buying a home is very emotional. I think someone walks in a home and they either, feel it or they don't, right? It's something that they've got to be in. So I think as much as our technology and our tools are fabulous for marketing and getting our properties out, I think at the end of the day, someone needs to walk in a home to get a good feeling. But again, that's where all this technology comes into play, is setting the stage for our clients and positioning them correctly so that when the day comes that they find the real buyer, they'll be ready to buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's going to be interesting also, and I'll get your take on this, that some of the things that are coming out of this pandemic that we're experiencing, I think may heighten our game, and actually they may become the norm in the future. Like when we're doing more marketing and more virtual marketing, there's no downside to that continuing and our creativity continuing. So I don't know about you guys. Do you feel that in some way this state that we're in, where we're being forced to be creative, may actually heighten the bar for all of us?
This certainly is going to change how we handle things going forward. Exactly how, I don't think any of us really know exactly, but there is a new normal, and that's obviously the case for all of society right now, but very much applicable to our jobs. So there's going to be new tools that come out of this. There's going to be new skills that we learn from this. There's going to be a tremendous amount of growth in our industry because of this. And, I'm starting to see some of it already. Some of the tools that you just mentioned I've got clients asking me for those, which is, they're the ones demanding us to perfect our craft during this. They're asking for us to give them the tools, and but ultimately they do want our help. And I think that's what Carrie just said is incredibly important. We have to take our job seriously through all this, because they're relying on our guidance. And I've had a couple clients through the last week or two ask me to really hone in on a few specific properties and get them as much information as possible.
Yep.
Obviously, what Carrie said is, they do want to see it and feel it, and it's very personal in that sense. But you can do a lot of your job ahead of time, so that once you do have the opportunity to walk through that house, in these couple scenarios, we were to arrange scenarios where it was as controlled as possible so we could see it. But those properties did go under contract as a result of it. And we're not wasting as much time just throwing as many properties at our clients as possible. We're really honing in on what is the best fit for them. And that's really where we can do our jobs as professionals the best, in my opinion.
I want
to piggyback on something. Sorry, Danny. Exactly kind of what Carrie touched on, and then what Phil had also mentioned in the beginning. I think one thing that At Properties does really well is all their technical tools that they offer agents. And I think in a situation like this, like I don't need to do anything necessarily differently, because there's a platform in place that we can take tools directly to our clients. And like what Phil was talking about, nobody knows how long this is going to last. And I think one thing, certainly buyers have always become, as technology has evolved, become smarter and more prepared, and they know what the market is. They become very familiar with pricing, what's on the market. And I think the concept of not having perfect photos, not having everything ready from the gate, I think those days will be behind us as people get used to just starting to look for properties more and more online, as they always have been, but they'll be another level as people can't quite get access to them at this point. So I think there'll be a new threshold of what's going to be, what people will think is acceptable online as far as looking at properties initially.
That's great. That's great. I want to pivot now and talk specifically about buyers and what have been the most frequent questions you've had from buyers. What are the most frequent concerns you've had from buyers? What are you guys hearing?
So I've had 50-50. I've had some of my buyers pull back a little bit just because they're not sure. Really, I think it depends on their employment status, so if they're a little concerned about their position at their company or their stock portfolio or whatever it is, I've seen some people take a step back just to see how this plays out.
Yep.
And then I have some fabulous buyers we just put under contract yesterday where they're actually in the healthcare market. So, they're feeling confident and, they want to buy a home and take advantage of the low interest rates. And, again, everyone needs a place to live, right? So we're going to come out of this. So they're kind of, forging forward. And I think that's a lot of things that we need to do too, is again, just to keep things moving forward. So again, it's 50-50 and it just depends on the buyer's position in the market and their employment.
Right.
Things extended, longer closings, kind of what Carrie was saying. I think people are nervous about job security.
Yeah. Phil?
I'm getting a lot of questions from clients from buyers specifically about what kind of a buying opportunity is this? And obviously it's hard for us to exactly identify that, but the quick answer is sure, there's going to be some buying opportunities as a result of this. I think the most important thing is to be strategic with it all. And, there's like I said before, a million different scenarios that's going to result from this. But really connecting with your client on what their need is for this, whether this is an investment property, whether they plan on living in it. There's a million different scenarios there, and being able to coach them the right way is a result of asking the right questions. But to couple on what you guys have already said so far, there's definitely the people that are not going out right now that can afford to wait, that they don't need to move this second. Spring is typically right now is typically the most, the busiest time of our season, but we're seeing a lot of people kind of push that off. And as a result, I'm predicting that we'll see a fairly busy summer, even end of summer, early fall as a result. And, but yeah, I think the people that are out there right now that are really wanting to look are very serious. And I think sellers should take that seriously too. If someone is wanting to see your home and has been qualified and we've done everything possible, we should, take that very seriously right now, because those buyers have a much higher conversion rate and actually closing a deal right now.
I've had a number of, thank you guys. I've had a number of questions from buyers and from sellers about value, like the value of property. And, buyers are saying, they see the stock market go down 10% or 15%, and they're wondering, does that mean does that mean property values are coming down that much? And, for people who are looking at a property that's priced at X, is all of a sudden that property worth, 15% less or 20% less, and so on. And I'll let you know what I'm sharing with them, but I'd like to hear your response also. We always feel as though, the real estate boat it's a big ship, and it takes a lot to turn it one way or another. And, when people, turn on the TV at night and they see the stock market go down, 10% in a day or 20% over the course of a week or 14 days, I try to assure sellers in particular, but also place a reasonable expectation in the minds of buyers that the real estate market really isn't that volatile. It doesn't change that quickly. What are y'all's sense of that?
Specifically in Chicago, yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's not as volatile as the market. I mean, it would have to take, I think, months of that kind of, going into a recession, for the market to kind of feel that. But I don't think that real estate gets the kind of, weekly dips that the market would get.
Right.
And I agree with that too. If you just look historically at all the market corrections that we went through, really during those times, the real estate market actually had appreciation, with the exception of 2008, of course, because that was, the housing crisis then. And the market did dip 20%, but that wasn't Chicago only. It was it was national, it was worldwide, that happened. So I think Chicago's very resilient, and our pricing here, we never see any huge highs or huge lows like other markets do. So I'm just educating my clients on, obviously location is key when purchasing a property, and it's our job as professionals to, help them buy the property correctly.
Sure.
I think, go ahead, Phil.
I was just going to say real quick, there's a lot of equity in our market too. And I think it takes, back in 2008, there was, our market was really, it was an artificial market in a sense. It was, there was almost no equity in the market. And if you look now, everyone who's been buying over the last 10 plus years has been vetted by lenders, has had to put a lot down, much more than ever before, 20, 30, 40% down. And then the market has seen some healthy appreciation over the years. So you're really talking about a market largely where and that's not even taking into account cash buyers either, but there's a very healthy market with a lot of equity out there. It would take a real sizable move south to really affect us dramatically. We're not going to see the short sales and foreclosures. And I'm getting some of my clients asking me, some shark buyers asking me, are we going to start seeing some of those? And I think the quick answer to that is no. You might see one or two, but really there's so much equity out there that I don't predict that's going to be happening here.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, and hopefully people watching this and people that you share this with can use that as a takeaway that we still are in a healthy environment. It's not as volatile as the word pandemic would make you believe, and so I think our buyers and our sellers should take some comfort in knowing that for the foreseeable future, values are probably going to hold and not that they need not worry. So let me shift again. We talked a little bit about sellers earlier. We've now covered buyers. Process, lending process, appraisal process, inspection process. What are you guys seeing that shifted in the last 6-8 weeks?
So from a lending process, I think, and getting closings on the table, it's been extremely streamlined, which, I think their process has become extremely efficient, and it's still moving forward. I mean, they're still doing their jobs, and people are doing curbside closings now. They're just limiting the amount of people that are at the table, which for safety reasons. But again, I think from the beginning, like you said, I think we're all learning ways to better service our clients, to make it more efficient, and again, right now, just with the safety of everyone in place.
Right.
I think the first week that this happened, I was super stressed it felt like trying to get what I had under contract closed in that time period. And I think the anticipation was far worse. So, I think when we originally started, it was very scary. It felt like the market was dropping. Nobody knew where the bottom was. And this was kind of before shelter in place took effect. And I think right now, just things have somewhat calmed down, as Carrie was talking about. There's less people at the closing table. Things are more streamlined. I think people have settled into the fact that this is, as Phil had mentioned, sort of the new normal, and that it feels a little bit more stable, that there's a process. If an appraiser needs to come in, either a doorman's letting him in or somebody's unlocking the door, going in, being able to keep social distancing, but still being able to get those items done.
Sure.
I feel like it's calmed down now that kind of everybody, this has been a few weeks, and we know that we're heading into another month, at least another month of this. And I feel like there is a system that has been established.
And I have to say too, I'm really, I don't know if I say the word proud, but it's really been amazing of how everyone has come together in Chicago and being extremely respectful to each other and being kinder to each other. And everyone's, just our goals all the same. And it's really been refreshing to see, people, smile at each other from 6 feet away and, just being, like I said, being cordial to each other and understanding and trying to work together through this.
Phil, anything you want to add in terms of?
No, I think you guys said it all there. I mean, we've got these patterns in place with how we do things. But it doesn't mean that that's how it needs to be done. We've had the ability to adapt to, in ways that have been mentioned already, from mortgage brokers to the title companies. And, we have a way we've been doing it, but it's easy for us to adapt in these ways. And I'm glad everyone's able to do it and still stay sane at the end of the day, really. It's not hard to adapt here. I don't think in some of the ways that have been described already, but there'll be more ways that we need to adapt. And I think just putting the egos aside, putting the frustration aside, all working together as a team here, which I think I've been really impressed with, to piggyback off what Carrie said. Everyone has been very, very just focused and helpful, just trying to we all have the same goal.
Yep.
To help our clients get to the finish line, and everyone's been really good about that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. I want to close here just by thanking each of you for your input. Let's continue to broadcast this message of being confident in the market and using kindness and creativity. I think that's really key right now. And I've also experienced what you've just said, that people are, forgiving of each other in the circumstances that we're in. And I think that's the best that we can expect. And I hope as four professionals that we can continue to, carry the baton and pass it to each other and our colleagues, and really promote positivity in this environment.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Okay, guys. Thanks again. Hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and we'll talk soon.
Stay safe.
Okay, thanks.